I'm Dale Sinesi, General Manager of Muzi Chevrolet in Needham, Massachusetts. I'm here with Dave Seder, our trainer extraordinaire, and he is going to walk me through all of the wonderful qualities and benefits of the new Chevrolet Volt. Dave, take us away.
Well, first of all, we should probably say that we're not the only ones who are saying this is a great car, right? It's the Motor Trend Car of the Year this year. It's the North American Car of the Year at the Detroit Auto Show. It was even Automobile Magazine's Automobile of the Year. So lots of people are saying really good things about this car. And the biggest thing about the Volt is that it really gives you the best of both worlds. You've got your electric car for your normal commute. You can go up to 35, maybe 40 miles roughly. We say a range of 25 to 50. Just on electric power, right? And you can go 0 to 60 in less than 9 seconds, 100 miles per hour just running on electricity. So it's a pretty big deal. This is the first car that can actually do that. You know, when you're in a regular hybrid, when you accelerate, the engine comes on, the gasoline engine comes on. So we have an electric vehicle there. Most people drive less than 35 miles for their round-trip commute. They can plug it in every night, and they've got an electric car during the week. But during the rest of the time, they've got a normal car, right? So instead of a regular electric car, like say the Nissan Leaf, which is also brand new, it's a great little car for what it's going to be, but it's a city car. It's a little tiny city car, and it'll go longer than we will on an electric charge, but it'll only go a certain number of miles, about 80 miles. Now, if you can only go 80 miles, Dale, away from home, actually, how far are you going to go? If you can go 80 miles on charge.
We're not going skiing.
You're not going skiing. You're not going even 40 miles from home, probably,
no,
right?
We're not.
Because you're going to have that, what they call range anxiety, wondering whether you're going to make it home.
Absolutely. With kids, absolutely.
Right. And with the Volt, of course, we don't have that problem, right? After you're 35 or 40 miles, the gasoline engine comes on, but it only acts as a generator to make more electricity so that the electric motor can keep pushing the car. And that's a big difference also between us and regular hybrids, other partially electric vehicles. We can actually run on electricity exclusively almost all the time, although much of the time we'll be making that electricity out of gasoline. Well, let's see. Should we pop the hood?
Let's do it.
Underneath the hood is where all the Jeep stuff is, of course. That was a safety feature. The vehicle was turned on as it was. It was turned on, but nothing was really running because it's an electric car. The gasoline engine just turned on when I popped the hood because that's a safety feature. Because if the system is energized, we want whomever's going underneath the hood to know that that engine could come on at any time. So as a safety feature, anybody opens the latch on the hood when the vehicle is turned on, when the system is engaged, the gas engine is going to come on just as a safety feature. But underneath here, we have a 4-cylinder engine. We have a very, very special, wonderfully, elegantly simple engineering in the transaxle with 2 electric motors in there. The main drive motor, and there's a smaller motor that acts most of the time as a generator in conjunction with the 4-cylinder engine. So that's what's under this cover. Under the other cover over here is all the fancy electronics that make the electric drive run properly. In fact, we've got several different voltages in this car, so we have inverters underneath that cover that can change 12 volts into 300 volts, or back again, can change direct current into alternating current as well. Lots of safety features, of course. When you have an electric car, there's pretty high voltage. So we have some safety features, like if, God forbid, the car takes a hit in the front end, if these cables are damaged, the system will recognize that and turn the 300 volts off. So there's lots of features like that that will keep customers safe, even though we have high voltage underneath the hood. The fuel economy numbers, if you look at the sticker, are pretty impressive. 93 miles per gallon is the electrical equivalent with a full charge. And I won't go into the math on that because it's a little bit complicated, but that's what the EPA says. They actually had to come up with new rules for us to figure out what the fuel economy should read on the sticker. When the gasoline engine comes on, we're at 35 miles per gallon city and 40 miles per gallon highway, a combined 37 miles per gallon, which is very, very good, of course, for this size vehicle also. So even when you're running on the gasoline, you've got really good fuel economy. So the neat thing is, of course, you can drive it as an electric car for your commute, but you could take it on vacation too, right? It's a normal car as well. So whereas with an all-electric car, like Ford is coming out with an all-electric version of the, I think the Focus by the end of this year, and of course the Nissan Leaf, but they're going to have very limited range. They're going to have that range anxiety, and you can't take them on a trip. If you're going to have a car like that, they're wonderful for what they're intended, but you have to have another car. With this car, it could be your only car in the family for a lot of families. One of the really nice things about this car too is how well it drives. I've only gotten a chance to drive it a little bit, but it really drives very smoothly. It's super quiet, of course. Very quiet when it's running on electric power, but even on the highway, it's really, really quiet. You know, very low wind noise, very low tire noise. It's a real car, in other words, and it handles like a real car too. The handling is really, really responsive, nice and quick. The steering and the cornering is just nice and flat as well. So compared to anything else out there that's even close to a competitor, it really knocks them out. It's just a real game changer, I think.
Dave, talk a little bit about the charging, how long it takes to charge the Volt, and then once it's charged, how far can you go, then how does that kick in, how does the gas power generator kick in?
It comes with a 120 volt plug that you just plug into a regular household outlet. It'll take about 10 hours if the battery's fully depleted to charge fully, and that'll give you about 35 to 40 miles of range, roughly. And it'll cost you, by the way, in the Northeast, about $2 for that. In the rest of the country, it's power is cheaper, so it's about $1.50 everywhere else. Around here, about $2. You can also charge it with 240 volts. That requires a special charging station, but that'll shorten the charge time to 4 hours. And I'm sorry, what else were you asking?
And so once the battery is depleted and you're driving,
kicks
in, the gas powered.
Gas engine comes on perfectly seamlessly, and in fact, the gas engine combined with a little bit of reserve left in the battery gives you exactly the same performance from the electric motor as what you have when you're running on electricity. So it's completely seamless. Another interesting point about the gasoline engine is that when it comes on, its RPMs are going to go up and down, pretty much independent of what you're doing with the gas pedal. So it feels a little different that way. They have programmed it so that it will rise in a little bit in RPM when you press on the gas pedal and drop a little bit when you let off, just to make people feel better. It's nothing to do with the car needs. It's actually going to go up and down in RPM based on the electrical need at the time.
Okay.
So, but all of that stuff they program really beautifully. We do regenerative braking like pretty much every other electric or partially hybrid electric vehicle does also, meaning that when you're coasting or slowing down, we're going to use those electric motors to make electricity, slow the vehicle down, but also recharge the battery a little bit every time we're coasting and braking. And that you have to blend with regular hydraulic brakes. And they've done that perfectly seamlessly. If you read the reviews that are coming out now about the Volt, versus in particular the Prius does the same thing with regenerative braking, but you can feel a definite break between when you're doing the regenerative braking and when you go to the hydraulic brakes. With the Volt, they've made it completely seamless. You can't tell the difference. It's just phenomenal. Very, very quiet. In fact, we had it running earlier, running meaning that it was energized. And it was so quiet, of course, that after I was done showing off whatever it was I was showing off, I think the daytime running lights, I forgot that the car was turned on, and I let my foot off the brake, started to get out of the car, and it was kind of rolling, so really, really quiet, and you have to pay a little bit of attention. But they've done some pretty neat things too, you know, safety things, like when the thing is plugged in like this, you can't take it out of park.
Take it around. So you cannot take it out of park if it's plugged in?
Right.
Okay.
So I can see myself driving away with the cord dangling about the back behind the car. But you can see if you can get a shot from the back there, it actually plugs into a regular household outlet. And on this side, it looks really fancy, and it is, but it's a standardized plug. So the charging stations that are starting to be put in here in shopping centers and hotels and things will have this same plug. You'll be able to plug your Volt in anywhere there is a charging station and charge it back up without any trouble. See, it's got a little bit of a light there, so it's easy to find at night and plug it in, but that's all you have to do. You notice on the dashboard it's going to be amber for about 5 seconds. It's going to chirp the horn once, like it just did. It turns green, that means everything's good to go. And of course, another cool thing about this is that we have, like some other Chevrolets now also, we have a smartphone application. I don't know how well you can focus on that, but here's our battery charge right now, our fuel levels. We've also got fuel economy information, the odometer, things like that. We have the tire pressures. And one of the neatest things about this is we have a remote control right there on the phone, which works from wherever you have cellular or wireless service. So you can lock the car, unlock the car, start the car, stop the car for that matter if you've remotely started it. And even if you can't find it in a really big parking lot, like a NASCAR event or something like that, you can honk the horn and flash the lights from pretty much anywhere too. Which I was tempted to do on my way in here today, just to freak people out, but I resisted the urge. So you have all that kind of technology also, along with, of course, on the dashboard, a really fully equipped vehicle. It comes standard with Bose audio system that was specifically designed for this car to be 30% lighter than other audio systems. Also comes standard with navigation, in-dash navigation. Also comes standard with 5 years of OnStar's turn-by-turn navigation standard. So the neat thing about that is something that you were mentioning earlier, Dale. The easiest, safest navigation system you can possibly use is the OnStar system. You press one button, you talk to a human being, you can do it while you're flying on the highway very safely. And when they download the directions for you into the car, it shows up in the navigation screen. So you get 5 years of that standard with this car, which is phenomenal.
And the battery also has the 100,000 mile, 8-year
That's a really good
warranty.
point. You know, the biggest question I've gotten so far, and I've been touring around with this car quite a bit, is how much does the battery cost? That's the first question. And the answer is we don't really know. That's the most direct answer. But the answer continues in that, as you mentioned, it's covered for 8 years and 100,000 miles, as is every other part of the electric drive system. Right? All those fancy inverters I mentioned earlier, all the cabling, the battery, of course, the electric motors inside the transmission, in fact. So the transmission is 8 years and 100,000 miles. The gas engine is 5 year, 100,000 miles, just like all of our other Chevrolets. So very, very well covered. So to get back to the battery and just really thoroughly answer that, 8 years from now, lithium-ion batteries will be a lot cheaper, so we don't really know what it's going to cost anybody to replace it. They're not going to have to worry about that for a long time. But the battery also is modular, meaning that there are 3 separate pieces to the battery inside the case that we can replace individually if something goes wrong with the battery. So nobody's going to be buying the whole battery very often. Also, we have a climate system for the battery, so we keep it in a temperate zone, which is going to extend the life. And we never fully charge it and never fully discharge it either, which also helps extend the battery life. Chevrolet fully expects the battery life to be 10 to 15 years, in fact, and still have at least 30% of its capacity after that. So nobody's going to have to worry about those batteries for quite a while.
And the best news of all, as you told me earlier this afternoon, is that it's eligible for the full tax credit of $7,500.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, yeah. And that's true at least through the end of the year. Mr. Obama is talking about extending it through next year.
Okay.
And that is a tax credit, not a tax deduction. So it's off your taxes, not off your income, which means it's a true $7,500 back in your pocket.
A reason to buy a Volt this year.
Absolutely.
David, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you,
Appreciate
Deb.
it. Come see us at Muzi Chevrolet and view the all-new Volt. We'll have it in our showrooms for sale sometime in October 2011. Thank you.